Can anyone hear me on Teams?
Vinny, I can hear you. This is Bill. I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you.
Now, Kevin has to put...
Okay, how about now? Okay, I just got it. Yeah, I now hear everything. Okay, can you hear me? All right. So what I'm gonna disconnect and then connect again. It may get a little better.
Hey, Kev, how you doing? This is Bill. All right, how's my volume? All right. I'm going silent.
Afternoon, everyone. I want to call the Rules Committee to order. I would like to ask Legislator Ellen Birnbaum to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mike, can you call the roll for the Rules Committee, please?
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Rules Committee roll call. Legislator Sheila Bino. Legislator Delia DeRiggi-Whitten. Ranking Member Kavan Abrahams.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Laura Schaefer. Legislator Stephen Rhodes. Vice Chairman Howard Coppell.
Here.
Chairman Richard Nicolello.
Here.
We have a quorum, sir.
Okay, thank you. We are going to call the contracts portion of the committee now. Starting with A25, 2021, a resolution ratifying the Commission of Shared Services award and authorize the execution of a purchase order between the county and Henry Schein, Inc. A46, A54, A60, A61, A62, A65, A67, A68, A69, A70. These are resolutions authorizing the Commission of Shared Services to award and execute purchase orders or blanket purchase orders between the county and Icon Enterprise, Inc., iConstituent, Atlantic Tactical, CI Technologies, Intergraph Corporation, Tech 84, L Proliner, Nationwide Instruction, and Island Tech Services. B27, B30. These are resolutions authorizing the county executive to award and execute contracts between the county and Grace Industries, J. Anthony Enterprises. E152, E154, E155, E158, E161, E163, E164, E165, E167, E168. The resolutions authorizing the county executive to execute personal services agreements or amendments to personal services agreements between the county and Greenman Peterson, KLD Engineering, LIRO Program and Construction Management, City of Glen Cove, Family and Children's Association, Empire Healthcare Assurance, VMG Holding, PKF O'Connor, Gannett Fleming, and Healthplex. Motion by Deputy Presiding Officer Coppell, seconded by Legislator DeRiggi-Whitten. So those items before the committee, we have an addendum, so I need a motion to suspend the rules. Moved by Legislator Rhodes, seconded by Legislator Schaefer. All in favor of suspending the rules signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Rules are suspended. Now, the other contracts I'm going to call to add to the ones I've already called. A63 of 2021 is a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Shared Services to award and execute a blanket purchase order between the county and Acme Auto Leasing, E153, E157, E159, E160. Resolutions authorizing the county executive to execute personal services agreements or amendments to personal services agreements between the county and Lewis McLean Associates, Tomas Klimas, Sokoloff Stern, Lewis Joes. Motion by Legislator DeRiggi-Whitten, seconded by Deputy Presiding Officer Coppell. So now those contracts are before us. Now before we move on to considering the items, we have a motion to table on E161, 2021, which is with Family and Children's Association, Inc., moved by Legislator Bino, seconded by Minority Leader Abrahams. This is apparently an ongoing, or the IG has not completed her investigation at this point. So it's been motion and a second to table. All in favor of tabling that contract signify by saying aye. Those opposed? It's tabled. So the first contract we're going to hear about is with Emergency Management, A25, 2021. Henry Schlein, Inc.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tom Delaney, Nassau County Office of Emergency Management. The item before you today is for a purchase order contract with Henry Schein for N95 masks that were supplied to us during the height of the pandemic. This was done as an emergency purchase order. We did a requisition for it, but there were delays. We did a requisition for it last year, but it got delayed, and on December 31st, it was canceled. We reissued the requisition again this year. It took a long time for them to provide all of the information that purchasing needed for the principal questionnaires and other items, but it's before you now. We'd like to get this obligation taken care of. We took delivery of the masks during the pandemic due to the emergency.
So why did the requisition get canceled in December of 2009?
All requisitions are canceled on 12/31 that haven't been turned into POs yet.
Obviously, they provided the masks when they were needed, but the delay seems to be inordinate in this case. A year and a half, not longer.
I agree, and I have been pushing as hard as I can to try to get this before you. It has just taken, like I said, an inordinate amount of time. Henry Schein's a large company, and it's very difficult to extract information from them.
Anyone else have any questions? Reggie Whitten.
So the total cost was $136,000
That's correct.
for 1,434 masks?
That was boxes of masks.
Okay, good, because I thought that was like $100 a mask.
Correct. If I recollect, I think the unit cost was slightly over $1 each. Henry Schein was involved with FEMA doing special airlifts to be able to supply these very scarce commodities.
Yeah, because it says for the purchase order of 1,434 filtered masks, it doesn't say boxes. So, I mean, it just goes to show you what, it might have been our only option, but did we spend $100 a mask, you think?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Are you sure it was for the boxes? Because it just says for the masks.
I'm absolutely positive it was for boxes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I've got the information with me. I've got their invoice on this. Yeah, it was for boxes. Yes, it says it right here.
And about what, 10 per box, maybe?
Yes.
That would make me feel better. Okay,
Yes.
so $10 a mask. Okay, thank you.
Legislator Schaefer.
But I just want to clarify that. So 10 boxes per box, is that what you're saying? 10 masks per box, and how many, okay, so this was 1,434 masks or boxes?
It came out to a
of
total of
masks?
50,190 masks
That's
on
what I
this.
want to know. Okay, 50,190 masks. Okay, and what budget does this come out of?
This was
What
money
year?
that was funded to OEM during the height of the pandemic from the general fund that will be 100% reimbursable through FEMA as part of the disaster declaration.
Got it, okay. And when do you go through the reimbursement process?
Once we have a check, once it's paid.
Got it.
We're in the process of doing that. It's going to be an ongoing effort, no different than it is for Sandy. We still have open project worksheets for Sandy.
Okay, so do you have any sense of when it would be, with a time frame for a reimbursement, or not yet?
Once we get a check, it will be included in whatever project worksheet that OMB is currently working on, and will be included.
Okay, and once it's submitted, is there a general time frame you expect a check from them, the reimbursement, or not really?
In my experience, once it gets approved, it's within a few months that FEMA will make the reimbursement.
Okay,
And then subject, of course, to audit after that.
okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I just want to point out that the item itself doesn't mention the boxes. It just says for the masks total of 1,400. So maybe, I don't know, we could just get confirmation, or just so we know.
Okay, yeah, I apologize if there was conveyed that way. That isn't correct. We would never be paying that much, for it. We were very careful about how much we were trying not to pay for items. I mean, vendors are coming with us to us with $5 and plus prices per mask for an N95, which we swiftly turned down.
Right, because the way this is written, it would be $100 per mask. So.
Correct.
Okay. If you have anything that shows that it's boxes, it would just be a good thing for us to reference at some point in the future.
Well, in the emergency memo that I wrote that Robert Cleary approved, it shows the actual quantity of masks in there.
Okay, and in your representation is it was boxes and there was upwards of 50,000 masks.
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item was with Parks, A46, Icon Enterprises.
Good afternoon. Donna Nyland, Department of Information Technology. This request, Nyland, N-E-I-L-A-N-D. Okay. This request is for the annual renewal for the Parks Department Civic Rec system. This is the application Park uses to manage their activities, their reservations, payments, leisure passes, etc. The annual cost is $178,750. This renewal is for June 2020 through May 2022, and this is a sole source.
Who has the option to renew each year? Is it just, does the county have the option if they choose to end this service in May of 2022?
Yes, the county can not renew it as long as they have something else to use.
Right.
Why is this a sole source?
The sole source is for the maintenance for this application can only be done by the vendor that sells it.
That sells it.
Yep.
But the application itself is not a sole source. This is strictly maintenance. You can get, in other words.
Yes, you can get other applications to manage park activities. Yes.
And that would cost a lot more.
It would probably cost a lot more. We'd have to go out to RFP.
And you're satisfied with the performance of this particular product?
I am. Is anyone from Parks here? I believe they're happy with it. Yes. You are? Okay. Okay.
To officially say it on the record, Victoria Queso from the Parks Department, yes, we are satisfied with the performance of.
Yes, you look happy. Good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other legislators? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next contract is with Information Technology. It is with a contract for A54 with iConstituent.
Good afternoon. I am Joe Jacovina, Deputy Commissioner of Information Technology. A54 2021 is for iConstituent. This is an annual agreement with an annual fee of $150,000. Renewal term is July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. This is a sole source vendor. This service is used by a variety of agencies, including Communications, Comptroller's Office, and is available to any other agency that is interested. iConstituent allows for the county agency to send bulk emails without risking the county's email domain from getting blacklisted by internet service providers. The system allows for tracking and statistical information, which helps understanding how well correspondence reached the intended audience.
I see that the term starts July 1st, 2021. Any particular reason why this is coming to us in November?
Yes, we did not receive the invoice to begin our approval process. It was dated July 1st. We processed through IT. We processed the information on July 14th. It was approved through just the IT process by July 16th. There was then a lengthy approval process. It had to go through compliance, county attorney, OMB for insurance review, shared services, IG, and legislature affairs, and it was finally available for approval at this time.
Are there other vendors that provide similar services?
They are a sole source. It's a subscription, so there is no maintenance. They just provide the service for us. There may be others. I am not aware, but I would suspect there is. The big thing here is that what the internet service providers do is if they see a blast of emails coming from one domain, they will blacklist you. And this service, this vendor iConstituent, avoids that process. That's part of the service they provide.
But I would think that there would be other vendors that could provide that same service. And I know the county has been using iConstituent for at least 4 or 5 years, perhaps much longer.
Yes, I believe I was informed it was 2013 that we started using them, and it is a subscription service.
Is there any thought to another going out for an RFP? See what alternatives are out there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Any other questions?
You just told the presiding officer that there's no thought of going out for an RFP. Why not? Why in other words, there may or may not be. You're not really able to answer as to whether there are others that can provide a similar service or better, for that matter. I have nothing against our constituent. Let me make that clear. I don't. This is not a criticism of them. But why is the department not checking this, and why are we just doing it as a sole source and not going out there and seeing if there's something else?
I'm not aware. I could find out that information for you.
We were using iConstituent because, as you said, it's available to other agencies in the county. And again, I don't know if this is just applicable to iConstituent or probably more likely applicable to all vendors that use this type of service. It just seemed as if these email blasts was almost all, well, I can't say this, there was very little response. You'd send out 10,000 emails or whatever the number was that were given to you from my constituent for your district, and there was almost no response. So I personally had real questions as to the effectiveness of the service they were providing, but which is why I think it might be useful for the county to do an RFP. It's been 8 years to see what other alternatives are out there. They might be the best, but I think it's better for the county, for the taxpayers, especially after 8 years, to take a look at this. Anyone else?
Okay, can we keep this on? Can we keep them going for a while there's an RFP?
Sure, I will bring that back to my commissioner, and we will address that.
Motion to table?
No. I mean, we can. I mean, it's going to take time to do the RFP. So I mean, this contract actually runs until June. So you're only talking about an 8-month process. But to do an RFP, I would assume would take months at this point.
Yes, to write one up and write down our requirements.
You're going to do that then? Is that what you're telling us now, that you will, if we go ahead and approve this, meanwhile you will go ahead and
yes, I'll bring that
rolling?
Back to my commissioner, and we will go through that process before this gets renewed.
And you'll report back to the
yes.
presiding officer? Thanks.
Okay. Any other? What? Okay. All right. So anyone else? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is with Human Services, Tomas Klimas Mikalauskas. E-157.
Good afternoon, legislators. I'm Seema Zaki from Department of Human Services. This is a brand new contract for the Office of Mental Health and Chemical Dependencies Assisted Outpatient Treatment Program. It's a multi-year contract.
I think we use him for other, I've seen his name before. So he's somebody who provides other services to the county, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
All right, any questions on this one? All right, we're good, thank you.
Thank you.
Is the, someone from the district attorney's office here? Okay. I've been told that the IG has completed her investigation into Family and Children's Association, which was the next item up. So we're going to need a, yeah, it was fast. Motion to untable by Legislator Rhodes, seconded by Legislator Schaefer. All in favor of untabling signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, that's before us.
Thank you very much. Bob McManus, District Attorney's Office. This is an agreement with Family and Children's Association to provide services to the District Attorney's Office Community Partnership Program, which offers support to the reentry community, youth at high risk for gun and gang involvement, and justice-involved individuals. This is a continuation of a program that began with the Hempstead Terrence Bedell Initiative in 2007.
Any questions? I mean, we all know Family and Children's Association do a wonderful job.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
County Clerk's Office, E-165, PKF O'Connor Davies.
Good afternoon, John Butler, Fiscal Officer for Nassau County Clerk Maureen O'Connell's office. Item E-16521 is an amendment to a contract with PKS O'Connor Davies for professional accounting services. The purpose of this amendment is to revise the term dates from 4/7/20 to 4/6/21 to 6/1/19 to 5/31/21. The execution dates were delayed due to routing during the COVID emergency.
Any questions on this one? All right, thanks, Tom. Next, contracts are with the police department. The first one we're calling will be A60.
Good afternoon, William Field, Inspector with the Police Department. The first item is A60-2021. This is to award and authorize a blanket purchase order for police department pistols for our officers. The maximum amount authorized under this purchase order is $620,000. The term the term of the blanket shall be for a period of 1 year from the effective date, and then an option to renew for an additional 4 years to make the total term 5 years and 2 months.
Any questions on this contract? No, we're good. I'm sorry, Legislator Schaefer.
Hi. I just have a question. Do the renewals have to come before us, or do you just go ahead and renew on your own?
I'm not sure. I think they do not. I'm being told they do not come before you.
Okay. Thank you.
Legislator Reggie Whitten.
How many guns would you normally get for $620,000?
It depends. So each handgun is priced bidded at $654.80. So depends on the amount that we need for new recruits and anything that gets damaged that may need replacement. They're also giving us a discount on parts as well.
So this will cover about 1,000 guns. Is that about a rough estimate, right?
A little less. With the parts, probably about 900, but you'd also have the possibility of needing parts as well.
Okay, so this contract will cover both replacement and repair of guns, basically? Because I get the time.
So according to the blanket, it includes the 2 separate types of 40 caliber pistols that we use, as well as the brand parts. We get a 2.5% discount off replacement parts and accessories.
Okay, all right, so basically they'll cover any replacement or repair for a gun for this amount of time, for that amount, all right.
There is we do have issues that our firearms unit, that we have trained armorers that are actually able to like mitigate some issues and things like that to make sure the weapons are as safe as possible
No, I'm all
and operational.
in favor of that. I was just curious as to like if they charge you per gun or how we came up with the number. I know it's a year, but I was just curious how much was to replace or repair.
Between the amount, it's both between the amount of new purchases and
Okay,
potential replacements,
all right, thank you.
which is hard to predict.
Thank you.
Any other, Legislator Rhodes?
Yeah, Deputy Inspector, is it, yeah, no problem. Is service included as part of this? I understand you just indicated that we have our own firearms unit that will try and mitigate some of the issues, but is service included as part of the?
I do not believe services. I believe it's only for parts.
Do we have a separate contract, or do we make our own repairs to these weapons when needed?
There is, as far as my knowledge, there's no service in this. We only can get the parts from them through the blanket order if we need replacement parts.
Okay. Do we service these weapons on our own, or
We have
is there a
armorers in our firearms unit.
Okay.
When our officers come in on their regular training, annual and biannual, they inspect the weapons and make any changes and replace anything that needs to be replaced.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else on this item? A62, Intergraph Corporation.
So item A62-21 is to authorize and award the purchase order of CAD software training licenses. This is a sole source purchase through with Intergraph Corporation, which does business as Hexagon. Hexagon is the owner. Intergraph is the creator and owner of the Hexagon software. They're the only ones authorized to provide us with these licenses. These licenses are used by members throughout our department, Patrol, Detective Division, and as well as our civilian titles in order to best be trained in how to use the computer-aided dispatch system before they go out in the field. The maximum amount authorized under this is $100,628.
Any questions? Okay. A63.
Item A63-21 is to authorize and award a blanket purchase order for vehicle leasing for the Nassau County Police Department's asset forfeiture unit. The maximum amount authorized under this is $167,760. It is funded through asset forfeiture funds, and the bidder was the lowest responsible bidder meeting specifications.
Here's my question. Why does the asset forfeiture unit, why would they need vehicles?
These vehicles are used for an array of different investigative things, especially when they need nondescript vehicles. They're generally more commonly found vehicles than a police interceptor.
So, but I mean, to my mind, asset forfeiture is something that is done almost as a matter of clerical work in terms of identifying suspects or someone who's been convicted and then seizing their assets. But so why would we need vehicles to do those types of things?
They're regularly involved in different types of investigations, especially when it involves money. They're out there in the field doing working with other task forces as well, which is also part of this. We even get reimbursed from some of the other agencies to when we use vehicles on their cases. So they're regularly involved in surveillance operations and things of that nature.
Deputy Pizzani, Copel.
Thank you. So I understand these are being leased?
Yes, sir.
Why leased and not purchased?
They've been leasing vehicles for quite some time. The equitable sharing, the agreement allows them to use these funds in this manner.
Equitable sharing, I'm sorry.
The asset forfeit, the agreement in how they expend the funds allows them to lease vehicles, and it provides them the opportunity to have newer vehicles because
forgive me, the agreement among.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, sir.
You said the agreement. Which agreement? The agreement, the equitable sharing agreement.
The
who are
that's
the parties to that?
those the rules in which they have to follow to use the asset forfeiture funding allows for them to use it to lease vehicles, and they typically find that if they keep a vehicle longer than a few years, they become less. They have less of an ability to use them in a surveillance thing. Is in a surveillance operation.
Why is that?
Well, because now the vehicle may be more likely to be identified.
Identified. I see. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions on this item, this contract? Legislator Rhodes.
Do we have any indication as to, I mean, the lease prices seem to be awfully expensive. I understand it's on bid, and that was the lowest bidder. Do we have any idea what these are in relation to market?
My understanding is Purchasing had looked for the best that they could get. Unfortunately, due to market, it seemed that the prices were a little high. But that's the best that they could get for the types of vehicles that we needed.
Now, we put this out to bid, I'm assuming, but is there a state list for this type of service that we could use? I mean, we can't be the only department that leases vehicles.
Like a state contract, you mean, right? Yeah, not that we're aware of. That's why we bidded it out.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on this item? Let's go to A67. It's a contract with Long Island Proliner.
A67-21. This is to award and authorize a purchase order for a Ford 550 Special Operations truck that'll be utilized by our Bureau of Special Operations. This is typically deployed when we have a vital. This is typically deployed when we need our tactical team for a vital equipment used in a serious incident and/or event. The lowest responsible bidder meeting specifications was Long Island Proliner. The maximum amount authorized under this purchase order should be $259,731,000. It'll be funded by capital project funds.
Any questions? A68.
A68-21 is to award and authorize a purchase order for Defibritech Premium Service Contract with our Lifeline Arm CC machines for our Emergency Ambulance Bureau. These are our machines we use on our ambulances. They do chest compressions for cardiac patients. They're found to be highly effective in what we need them to do. This was bidded out. Maximum amount authorized under this purchase order should be $102,539.70. That's it.
Any questions on this item? Legislator Ridgeway.
And how many machines do you think we can purchase for the 102?
This isn't for a purchase. Okay. This is to maintain and maintain and make sure our equipment is in working order. We have 30 of them.
Yeah, I remember we purchased them not that long ago. Okay.
And they need to be constantly maintained and reviewed by a vendor to make sure that they're operating correctly.
Okay.
Any other questions? A69.
A69-21 is to award and authorize a purchase order for vehicle equipment for Ford Explorers. So the maximum amount under this is $139,276,080. The specific equipment this is going to be purchasing are items such as our mounting equipment for our center console, as well as bringing power supplies and other things from the electronic equipment that we use.
Any questions? Sure. Legislator Bino.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Is any of the equipment associated with the body cameras?
No, this is completely separate and distinct. It's equipment to actually make the. So A70 is actually related to it. They're kind of two separate. They have to maintain the computer, the printer, and all the equipment in the center console of the vehicles.
For printers, okay, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? A70.
A70-21 is to authorize and award a purchase order for vehicle equipment for the Ford Explorer, similar to A69. This is the maximum amount authorized is $209,365. This is actually for the modem, the printer, and the wiring and other components to help make the technology work, and as compared to 69 was for the mounting hardware and things like that.
There's actually a printer inside the vehicles?
Yes, sir. In order, our vehicle and traffic summonses are printed out via that printer, as well as auto accident reports, things like that.
Do the information for the traffic summons gets entered into the dashboard?
Yes, sir. Right into the
computer?
The tough book.
Okay. All right. Wow. Any other questions? We're good. Thank you, Inspector.
Thank you.
Recall the county clerk's item, which is E165. There were some questions.
John Butler, County Clerk.
Hello, good day.
Hey.
So, in reviewing this contract, Council identified some issues related to United States Security and Exchange Commission, and it related to the financials for the town of Arapahoe. So I've asked you to come back up, but really this question, I believe, are you aware of any of those issues that would have arisen with the town of Arapahoe?
No.
Okay. Are you aware of any issues that may have arisen out of the village of Freeport?
No.
No. Okay. So these questions really, presiding officer, would be, I think, should be addressed by the Office of the Inspector General. But I don't see any representatives here, and I'm not sure if any are on the line.
The only question I had is in terms of the procurement, is it, do you use the county offices? I mean, should we call up General Services? Should we call up Robert Cleary?
I mean, you could if you wanted to. That was done years ago. I mean, this is literally just an amendment to amend the term of what was already done through the RFP process. It selected this vendor to perform that work. What we're trying to do is amend the term dates, because the way that the term dates are written cited basically upon execution, like when the county executive was to sign it, and that was delayed due to the COVID situation. So this vendor has already provided the work. This isn't for a new contract. We're just trying to get them paid, and the only way we could do that is by revising the term of the original contract, which is the purpose of this amendment here today.
Which was my second issue.
Right.
Which was my second issue, which is that it's my understanding when we approved this contract in February 2020, that now it looks like we approved it in February 2020, but now we're looking at an amended back date to January 2019. So you've just actually answered my original question as to why would we be backdating this? And so
I guess that's one way to look at it, legislator, but the reality is there were severe delays in anything happening during the COVID emergency period. So it's not for any other reason.
COVID did not start in January 1st of 2019. The request is for us to amend this contract back to January 2019. We did not start to experience COVID here until March of 2020.
Right, but the routing process did take longer throughout that period.
Okay, so the first question that I had was whether we even identified any of these issues regarding Ramapo or even the village of Freeport when we originally approved this contract. And then, yes, I wanted to bubble up why we had such a significant delay, and why we're looking to now amend this retroactively all the way to 2019.
So the issues that you're bringing up with Ramapo and also with Freeport, was that from the company ABZ or was it for PF O'Connor Davies.
PFOK.
So they hadn't taken over the original company, which was selected, AVZ, until some point after.
Yes, but I understand that some of the same partners are still affiliated with PKF O'Connor.
That might be the case, but, you know, AVZ, the original company itself, as a company that was selected to perform the work for our office, had nothing to do with that, I guess, aside from the ownership that was having some additional issues, maybe under a different company or different companies from them that we were unaware of.
Okay, so presiding officer, again, you know, these questions, especially in terms of what was bubbled up through the IG's office in terms of an investigation, they should not be directed to the county clerk's office anyway. You know, the issue about amending this and backdating it all the way to January 1st, 2019 has been something this body has consistently, you know, raised concerns about. But from my understanding, this work has been done. And the only way that they can be paid and this can actually be formally filed is that the contract has to be within the time frame to which the work was undertaken. Am I correct?
That's correct.
So I suspect my concern has been addressed already for the second part of my question. The first part is moot because they already did the work. But this is the kind of stuff that is concerning when we backdate contracts, and we're backdating contracts with entities that may have significant violations or problems.
So when was the contract originally approved by us?
Originally approved by the ledge.
It looks like February of 2020 based on my notes, but
So when we look at the execution page of the contract, we can see that the firm signed it, I believe that looks like 8/5/2019, but it wasn't fully executed by, looks like Helena Williams, until 4/7/20. So there was a major lag there, so that is the basis for that.
I'm just trying to find out is when it first came to us, was there an indication that this firm, which at the time was AVZ, was there an indication that that had already started doing the work?
At the time that it came to you, no.
Well, but according to, if we're backdating this, then they would have already started doing the work. Right? I mean, if you want to backdate the effective dates to 2019, then by the time it came to us, they already started doing the work.
I'd have to take another look. If you guys want me to go through it, I'll take another look at it.
Why don't you do that? I mean, we could come back next Monday and just, whatever the questions are, we could get that fully resolved. All right?
Sounds good.
Motion to table. So moved by Deputy Presiding Officer Coppell, seconded by Legislator Bino. All in favor of tabling signify by saying aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
The contract is tabled. Next contracts are with corrections. A61.
Good afternoon, legislators. Narda Hall, Correctional Center. Item A, 6121 is with CI Technologies. Is for IA Pro software licenses and maintenance for the Nassau County Sheriff's Department. The software package will modernize and streamline the agency's record-keeping and statistical capabilities. It will enable the centralization of records, lessen use of paper documents, reduce time delays when completing, submitting report packages, and enable all investigative intelligence units to more efficiently process their respective casework. Overall, it will enhance the capability to manage, track, and report incidences that occur at the facility. The cost is $127,340. It includes a 5-year maintenance. It was discussed with Central IT and given approval. The software is already being utilized by NCPD.
Any questions? Let's see. Go on to the second one?
Yes.
A65.
Item A6521 is for 2 Tech 84 full body scanners. It is to enhance the security at the correctional center. Recent changes in the law have increased the classification of individuals that are being remanded, which in turn necessitates the increase in security measures for the detection of weapons and other dangerous contraband. The cost is $275,000. This includes installation, calibration, training, and 3-year parts and labor warranty. It screens for metal and non-metal threats, weapons, drugs, cell phones, and other contraband. They are similar to the upright full-body scanners used in the airports.
Any questions on this? I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next contracts are with Public Works.
Hi, Presiding Officer. How are you?
Good, Katie.
Commissioner Arnold is going to visit his father, so he's not here today. So there are multiple people from DPW. So as you call the contract, it will depend on who goes up.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. All right. So we'll start with B27 with Grace Industries. Press the button.
How's that? Okay. Vinnie Falkowski, Deputy Commissioner of Public Works. Item B2721 is a new construction agreement with Grace Industries, LLC. The contract value is $1,484,120. The proposed contract terms is 3 months from NTP, notice to proceed. The project contemplates hauling and removal of approximately 7,500 cubic yards of soil excavated during the side steam centrate treatment facilities at Bay Park. There were trace amounts of PCPs found when in situ sampling was taken. Given the low levels, the soil was deemed non-hazardous. The presence of PCPs, however, requires special hauling and disposal to specific sites which are not local. The closest is in New Jersey. It added to the total disposal costs. About 10% of the soil is anticipated to contain the PCPs. The department recommends the award to Grace Industries in the amount of $1,484,120 to haul and dispose of the contaminated soil in accordance with applicable laws and regulations.
How much soil are we talking about? Is it
7,500 cubic yards.
Deputy Presiding Officer Copel.
So, this was the lowest responsible bidder. Were there any lower bids that?
No, this was they were the lowest responsive.
No, that's not responsive or responsible.
Responsible.
So my question was, were they the lowest responsive bidder?
Maybe I don't understand the question.
Okay. You will sometimes eliminate bidders that might be lower than others, but are deemed not responsible.
Oh, I don't believe we eliminated anyone.
Okay, thank you.
Any other? Oh, Legislator Schaefer.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Okay, so this company obviously is located in Melville, but you said they haul the dirt to New Jersey?
Yeah.
Now, where in New Jersey?
Oh, I don't know if I have that. I'm sure it's in the package somewhere.
Okay. And I know, I'm sorry.
I was told it's the
Doesn't
only,
matter.
that's the closest one.
That accepts that type
Yeah.
of hazardous, okay. Well, so.
It's non-hazardous.
That's what,
It's
yeah,
just-
my second question. It's non-hazardous, so why do we remove it? Because
Well, we
in
have to
the
get it off
aggregate,
this. Yeah, once it comes up with a trace amount, you
Mhm.
have to follow, the applicable laws. You can't just haul it. There's all kinds of notices involved.
Mhm.
Special handling at the other end. They put it in a way. They put it in the ground in a way that it can't. It becomes inert. It just kind of stays there forever.
So is there a concern that it becomes hazardous
No.
at a certain point in time?
In fact, in this contract, they're gonna have to test the samples, again, in situ where it's sitting now, at Bay Park in a big pile, with grass on top of it, so it doesn't move around or blow around. And depending upon what the levels come up when they test the lots, that'll dictate to what level of regulatory requirement they'll have to perform. And it's
Okay.
been sitting there now a year since we uncovered it and moved it.
Yeah.
So it's quite conceivable it's become even more diluted within itself.
Okay, so if it becomes diluted, I mean, what happens then?
It's just
not-
less trace, and and then the rules to haul it become different. It'll become cheaper for us.
Okay. When do they figure that out? After they
Well,
test it out?
before they start, they have to test before they haul.
Right, okay. Were any of the local representatives in that area notified about this whole issue and that they
I
found
don't
these
believe
traces?
so. Again, it's non-hazardous type 2 material.
Okay. But, I mean, it's obviously important enough that we're passing a contract to remove it, so I would think going forward it would be
Whenever we
important to
do
let them know.
construction projects, there's typically soil that we have to dispose of, and sometimes it doesn't come up with trace amounts of anything. We still have to haul it. We didn't do this with the contractor that uncovered it because it was a big chunk of money and it would have pushed us over the thresholds for the change orders. So we decided to let another contract. That's why I'm here today, to seek approval for this contract.
Okay. And once the contract is passed, when do you anticipate, or if it's passed, when do you anticipate that they would be hauling this out?
Weather aside, if we have a mild winter, we'd start immediately. Because, you know, Bay Park is hopping. We have a lot of work going on, and we can use this small patch of land for staging and stuff.
Okay.
Immediately, I guess, would be the answer.
That's when, yeah, I would think that they would want to do it. But you said they have to test it first. How long does that process take?
Well, that's a couple days. It's a standard test. They decide which side of the pile they want to work on. The testing labs come out. They take a sample. We get the reports, and then they're instructed on how to haul. And I'm told, my folks tell me this will be a pretty straightforward project.
Mm-hmm. So the maximum amount is $1,484,120.
Correct.
So what if the testing is done and it's less expensive? Then what do you do?
Then it's a unit price contract, so that passes on to us. And that, quite frankly, that's what we're hoping for.
Okay. Okay. I have no more questions.
Can any of the soil be recovered? Reclaimed, or whatever the word is?
It would be cost prohibitive.
Okay. I mean, there can be a value to soil, obviously. So.
Well, yeah, I guess if they sample it and they don't come back, you know, there's a randomness to how it's sampled. There is a facility on Long Island that cleans soil, but I don't know that they clean PCBs.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? No, we're good. You up for the next contract or somebody else?
Depends on which one you're going to call next.
B30, J. Anthony Enterprises.
Nope, that's not.
Good afternoon, legislators. Sean Sally, Nassau County Department of Public Works. Item B30-21 is a construction contract with J. Anthony Enterprises for a full road reconstruction project in East Atlantic Beach. The road is known as Park Beach Street. This is a project to improve vehicular safety, pedestrian safety along a roughly 1 mile segment of that roadway. This project is partially funded by the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery as part of the HUD CDBG-DR program, which was a result of Superstorm Sandy. This is actually the final County Public Works GOSER project to move into construction. J. Anthony Enterprises was the lowest responsible bidder at $9,749,497.66. The contract is proposed to be an 18-month duration, so 18-month construction duration, and the department is recommending that this contract be approved with J. Anthony Enterprises.
Any questions? All right, thank you, Sean.
Sure thing.
E152, Greenman Peterson. It's pretty impressive that Ken handles this all by himself, and now we have all sorts of people coming in.
Good afternoon. Harold Lutz, Nassau County Department of Public Works, Traffic Engineering Unit. This contract, E-152-21, is a personal services agreement with Greenman Peterson Incorporated. It's for the design of a traffic management camera system for 55 additional cameras that will communicate with our traffic management center. It enables our task force inside the traffic management center to identify impediments to traffic flow and identify either police services, or if we can make modifications to signal timings to make improvements to clear the delays that are associated with any incident that would occur on the roadway. GPI was the lowest responsible bidder of the two, and the department recommends the execution of the contract.
Any questions? Legislator Bino.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you tell me how the locations were selected?
We have currently now about 150 cameras. This is a supplement to those. We try to pick the most critical locations remaining along our corridors. So we'll identify locations where we know we have capacity issues, where we know we don't have coverage currently. We also use this, I neglected to say this, during snow emergencies. It's shared with road maintenance so that we can basically have eyes all over the county. It's systematic in that, this is phase 5. This is the 5th contract that we're looking at that. And again, it's really critical intersections and in areas where we currently don't have significant coverage or where we know we have, constant issues countywide.
And can the cameras are they portable? Can they be moved around if we feel that we've solved an issue at one intersection and we want to look at another intersection, or?
They're not portable in a respect, but they do all pan, tilt, and zoom, so we can look down the roadway, we can look east, west, north, south from the locations. We try to determine locations where we have full line of sight, and they are somewhat elevated out over the roadway, but they're not, to the point where they're obstructions and sticking all the way out into the middle of traffic. They're permanent installations, though they're not something that we make portable. We do have other portable cameras that we use for like event management, the marathon and things like that, where we do use those, and they telescope up, and those also communicate back to the traffic management center.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Legislator Schaefer.
Hi, Mr. Lutz. Just one question. Good, thank you. How are you? You received 2 proposals, and the second highest ranked proposal was by JHK Engineering, but it was significantly higher in cost. Can you explain why it was so much higher? I mean, my notes show it was about $1,094,000.
They have never done this work for Nassau County in the past, and I just don't think they're familiar with our standards enough that they would be able to do the work. Hence, that's why they were ranked, somewhat significantly lower than Greenman Peterson.
Okay, but their cost was so much higher. Were there other things that
they just don't know?
They don't
is
know
what
to
it comes
do.
down to.
Okay, for this. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next one is 153, Lewis McLean Associates, McLean.
Good afternoon. Harold Lutz, Nassau County Department of Public Works. This is for a personal services agreement for the design of 23 traffic signals and about 10 cameras on Merrick Avenue and Jerusalem Avenue in North Merrick and East Meadow. It is also part of the improvement of communications for these corridors to link back to the traffic management center. A lot of our infrastructure is in the 30, 40 to 50-year-old range. This will improve communications, bring back additional cameras along this corridor, as well as reconstruct all the intersections with improvements to pedestrian facilities, as well as greater conspicuity for our traffic signals, basically larger traffic signals.
Okay, with respect to the variable messaging signs, we had a similar item a couple of weeks ago before us. Commissioner Arnold represented that prior to the installation of any of these signs, there were very variable messaging signs, that you would come back to the legislature. Can you represent that here with this?
That is correct, yes, absolutely.
All right.
I think there are originally 2 included in the original contract. At this point, we would not look to progress that without discussing it with the legislature.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Legislator Reggie Whitten.
I know this has been discussed before, but I just want to put it on the record again. All the information that's collected via these cameras for this item and your prior one are only for DPW use, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Is the footage saved for a point of time, or is it?
It's a very short period of time. We don't really have the storage capacity to keep that much video data. You know, at this point, even with just, you know, about 150 cameras, the amount of storage for that type of information, we just don't have that. And again, it's for incident management and for immediate detection. It's not necessarily for accident recreation or anything like that, or law enforcement.
Or anything like readers or anything along those lines, correct?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Nope. Next contract is with KLD Engineering.
Good afternoon again. This is for traffic signal timing progression along Mill Road, Burnside Avenue, Sheridan Boulevard, Peninsula Boulevard, and Merrick Road. 2 intersections that are adjacent to Peninsula Boulevard in the immediate vicinity of the intersection of Merrick Road and Peninsula Boulevard. This is a UPW program, which is the Unified Planning Work Program. It's federally funded. We receive 80% of this money back from the original cost of $118,000. The cost of the county is approximately $23,000. This is for retiming of the existing traffic signals for improved coordination through these corridors. KLD has completed this work for other municipalities and is currently a sub on others, and they are a registered minority business enterprise.
So along some of those intersections are the ones in Peninsula Boulevard in Rockville Center?
Yes. Yep.
Because those are a disaster. Good.
Understood. And we realize that, and that's why we're looking to retime. You know, we are having issues countywide now as a result of the pandemic as well. This project actually is a couple years old. Prior to the pandemic was its origination, but we are looking to do this. You know, we do realize the problems that we have, and we're starting to address these things.
Are any of those intersections also going? Well, I'm sorry. So you're going to have the timing, and you're going to have cameras, right?
No, we're not adding cameras. This is just for traffic signal timing only.
Is there any? Are you not adding? I guess detectors, because sometimes you'll see some of those crossroads sitting empty, with Peninsula having red lights anyway.
That's something we'd have to look at. It could be a maintenance issue if you have a particular location in mind.
No, those are the ones I'm particularly talking about. As you go there, sometimes you'll see the crossroads without traffic, but they've got green lights.
Right. That could be a maintenance. It could be a malfunction.
Well, the question: do you have detectors for that? Are there supposed to be?
In terms of just yes, we have a detection report that comes out. For anything that's on our current system.
No, I'm sorry, forgive me, I'm not making myself clear. Aren't there detectors that can adjust the traffic signals in accordance with whatever the traffic is? In other words...
Yes, we are in a fully coordinated system here that has actuation or the detection on the side streets, yes. If there's a malfunction with that, as a fail-safe, what happens is it will go to the side street whether there's a vehicle there or not. Now, what we'll do as part of this, obviously, we'll look and identify any detection failures, but we also have a list of detection failures and a contractor that will do repairs on those. Sometimes those are a result of maybe a contractor or a permittee, somebody doing some construction hits our detection, and in order to get the money back, we would pursue it from them. If we go ahead and just build it, we're doing it at our cost as opposed to pursuing it. If it's something that you know of a location that is particularly bothersome, we could certainly look.
Oh, no, those are the ones I've mentioned. There are 3 in Rockville Center.
Okay.
That are fairly close together. After the long stretch when you're heading, I guess, south.
Okay.
After the long stretch, you've got 3 intersections before you get into the populated area.
Right.
Those are the 3 that I'm talking about.
Okay. We can take a look at those.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
E-155, LIRO Program and Construction.
Hi, Vinny Falkowski again, Public Works. This is a retro personal service agreement amendment for LIRO Program and Construction Management, PC. We seek a cost increase and a time extension. The contract value, we're looking to increase it by $65,270, and we're looking to extend the terms until May 19th, 2022. The retroactive amendment to the personal service agreement for LIRO is for construction management of the effluent screening and disinfection system at Cedar Creek Water Pollution Control Plant. The project is in the final process before treated effluent is released into the outfall. This amendment is necessary because we encountered a fire on October 11th, and with the COVID-19, parts became almost impossible to find, and unfortunately this slipped by us, and we didn't realize we needed to come before you guys again for the amendment. The department recommends the time extension of 12 months to expire on 5/20/2022, and an increase to the total cost ceiling of $2,111,609.40 for LIRO Construction Management.
Any questions? We're good, thanks. E-158 is a contract with the City of Glen Cove.
Good afternoon, William Field, Inspector with the Police Department. Item E-158-21 is a contract to provide funding for police enforcement of stop DWI laws within the confines of the City of Glen Cove. These funds are specifically to be used for salary to assist in preventing roadway injuries and fatalities caused by DWIs during specific holiday periods. The contract is funded by New York State Stop DWI Foundation. All proposed expenditures are made in accordance with a yearly budget plan, and all expenses are 100% reimbursable. The initial encumbrance for 2021 is $6,000.
Okay. Any questions? Nope. Thank you again.
Thank you.
167, Gannett Fleming.
Vinny Falkowski, Public Works. This is a personal service agreement, time extension only. We seek an additional 24 months ending on 12/31/2023. The project is the subject of a New York State Department of Environmental Conservation consent agreement. The project is the rehabilitation of the second to last process at the Bay Park South Shore Water Reclamation Facility. NTP on the construction was delayed more than a year due to a delay with the construction contractor's vendor portal registration. Countywide and departmental contract processing and disclosure review was initiated and will likely lessen the likelihood of similar delays. The department recommends that the time extension of 24 months to expire on 12/31/2023 for Gannett Fleming Engineers and Architects be approved as submitted.
Good. Any questions? No, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, next two contracts are with the County Attorney's Office. First one would be E-159 with the contract with Sokoloff Stern.
Good afternoon, legislators. Brian Libber from the County Attorney's Office. This is a contract with the law firm of Sokolov Stern for the case known as Beseden against Nassau County. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Federal Civil Rights lawsuit? Is that what
Yes.
This is? Okay. Any questions? Nope. All right, why don't you go to the next one? It's 160 with Louis Joe's office.
160 is also a services contract for legal services on a civil rights case with the law firm of Louis Joes. If you have any questions, I'm also happy to address the same.
Okay. Any questions on this one? Nope, that's it. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Human Resources, E-163.
afternoon. Allison Malamy, Deputy Chief Commissioner of Shared Services. This is the 163?
Yes, Empire.
This
Health
contract
Choice.
is to provide health and prescription drug insurance to eligible Nassau County employees as well as their dependents. The Health Benefits Committee, comprised of representatives of the 6 unions and 5 county departments, was tasked with selecting an insurer to replace the current Aetna OAMC plan for post-2014 hires, and also select a new high-deductible health plan to be an option for those bargaining units who have settled contracts, presently the DAI and SOA. With guidance from the county health benefits consultant, Siegel, the committee evaluated proposals and insurer presentations to unanimously select 2 Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield plans. The Blue Access PPO alternative plan to NISHIP for post-2014 hires and maintains the same or substantially similar benefits with a targeted premium that is equal to or less than 85% of similarly tiered NISHIP plans. The high deductible health plan has a health savings account component that will be administered by Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Thank you. Any questions on this? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
E-164?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to discuss the proposed contract with VMG Health to be our smart savings administrator for the county. My name is Sergio Blanco. I'm here from the Office of the County Controller, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just give us a little detail about what the contract's about.
Sure. So the county has an ordinance that requires if 2 county employees are both eligible for health insurance plans, the county essentially pays one employee to not have health insurance. Now, as a result of that, we have to make those employees whole if they would have had expenses that would have been covered had they been able to have these separate and individual health insurance plans. So, as the county does not have employees with the requisite titles to do this kind of claims review, we outsource it to a third-party vendor who's a smart savings administrator who helps us review and audit those claims for reimbursement for those eligible county employees, which is required by the ordinance.
Okay. Any questions? No. All right. Thank you, Sergio.
Thank you so much.
E-168 is a contract with HealthPlex, Inc.
Hello, Allison Malamy, Chief Deputy Commissioner of Shared Services. The Health Benefits Committee was also the selection committee for a contract to provide dental insurance to Nassau County employees. 5 proposals were received and evaluated with Siegel, our health benefits consultant, advice, and in the same manner as the health insurance solicitation. HealthPlex was chosen due to offering the greatest benefits and reimbursement schedule with no disruption to provider networks at the same cost since 2011 of $46.75 per employee.
Any questions on this one? Legislator Bino.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Good day. Have you been able to read the Inspector General's report?
Yes, I looked it over about an hour before I got here and contacted HealthPlex, who responded. And they responded that they have addressed, let's see, where is this? Yeah, they have addressed all of the concerns. And we sent that to the Inspector General. I don't know if
And the Inspector General, did she respond to you?
No, but that actually came through Robert Cleary.
And
Okay.
she answered.
Jody's right there.
Oh, okay.
You want to please approach the podium?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see you. Yes, regarding this matter, we did receive information from Robert Cleary that the issues that were in the report, which is very long, and if you get a chance, it's probably worth reading, that they have been addressed.
And these are the concerns with the Department of Financial Services, correct?
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And they were extensive, and so they were able to respond that quickly and advise that they were all taken care of?
Yes, it looked as if they had been trying to cure the issues in the report for some time, and it looks like that they've succeeded.
And did we ask the question and was it answered regarding why they did not disclose any of those issues in their disclosure form to the county?
Actually, reading the disclosure forms and reading what the examination was supposed to be, our office landed where it seemed that it was fair that the vendor wouldn't think that they needed to disclose that particular examination. However, at this point now, it is something that the ledge is aware of, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, given, and I haven't had, the full time to review a lot of it, but just in quick summary and some of the work that our attorneys were able to do, it looks like, some of the summary of violations on these explanation of benefits and the number of appeals were, they were very high.
Yes.
And I think they're concerning in nature that at some point it was considered by New York State's Department of Finance that they looked at 5 cases, and all 5 cases there were violations, which led them to then state that they believed that they had a 100%, population that was in violations in these populations, which is concerning. I mean, and so did we look at the proof that from HealthPlex that shows that these things were properly addressed? And
yeah, we reviewed the information that was provided to us by the vendor through the Chief Procurement and Compliance Officer.
Just this morning?
Just this morning, yes, which is why it wasn't on the list. I apologize. It came, after my 12 p.m. sending you the lists.
Okay. So what were they able to provide us? Information from the state saying that these issues were addressed, or just communications from them to the state?
The second one.
Information from them.
It was communications that they had with the state. And Mr. Cleary, if you have a minute, do you have your information on that? Oh, I'm sorry.
Robert Cleary, Chief Procurement and Compliance Officer. The review that we're talking about appears to be an ongoing kind of standard industry review, and this the information that was found is kind of a periodic management review, and in the course of that process, the vendor is given a report with findings, and the vendor does respond to those findings, and they reported that they had addressed all those items. I imagine that going forward, we would work with them to ensure that we don't have any ongoing issues. But this looks like a pretty standard process. It's kind of like auditing in financials. Sometimes issues are found, they're pointed out in an audit, and they're addressed and subsequently managed properly. We can speak with them further regarding these particular details, though.
I'm still just trying to, for my clarification, understand exactly what we accepted as proof that these violations were and these issues were addressed with the state, and they were deemed to be at least conditionally, discharged, or that there was some level of an acceptance from the state.
Well, the statement that we received from the vendor was that previously reported had been interim response information, and then they subsequently followed up and responded to all issues by a certain date. I can look that up to see what that date was.
Did they provide that information to us in writing, or was this a verbal communication?
I'm sorry?
Was this verbal communication, or was it provided to us in writing?
It was an email.
It was an email but it wasn't, it was simply someone responding in an email.
Yes.
Was there any attachments that supported?
There was no backup supporting it, no. It was the Chief Financial Officer, I believe, responding, stating that they had responded to all of the issues materially by that date.
So, as our IG has stated on the record, and based on my observations, some of these issues are concerning, and had adverse effects on individuals who were participating in the plan, so much so that the state did this level of an audit and required some level of corrective action and response from HealthPlex. And I think we should have something in writing from from the state via HealthPlex or the like, but it has to be from the state that shows that they're, to me, that they are actually in good faith, working towards resolving those issues. I think just taking what I would, although it in writing, it's word of mouth. It doesn't substantiate. I don't think that we should be moving forward on this is a $20 million item, and I have some other issues or concerns regarding this item as well, but given the gravity of the issues that we were able to find on this report and the last minute back and forth of just this morning between HealthPlex and the county, I feel uncomfortable moving forward with this contract. I think we have to have something in writing.
I agree that we need some sort of response from Department of Financial Services. I mean, I don't think we can take the word of the party that was being investigated that, yes, we've complied with all the requests. I think we have to substantiate that. The only question I have is, what is the timing of the current contract? In the interim, we could come back next week with this item, but in the interim, when does the current contract expire?
The current contract expires this year.
Okay.
And so we need a new contract in place for open enrollment, which will begin very soon. I believe again, I'm not a lawyer.
When will open enrollment begin?
As soon as we get the rates from night shift, which is usually December 1st, first week in December.
All right, so we'll have a meeting next week, so that gives you time to, contact the Department of Financial Services and just confirm what you're being told. Right?
I agree. And then given, the impending expiration date being December 31st, I think I should ask some of my additional questions.
Sure.
So they can prepare.
Yep.
So how many responses did we have to this RFP?
5.
It was 5, not 8, because I think one document said it was 5 and the other one said it was 8. It was 5.
It was an RFQ, and it was an RFQ for dental and optical insurance. So altogether, it could have been 8, but there were 5 that responded for dental.
Okay. And of the 5, where did HealthPlex rate?
It rated at the top, essentially because their reimbursement schedule was the highest per event that you have compared to the other vendors, as well as their provider networks provided more services for our members. For example, retainers they provide for orthodonture and things like that.
They provide orthodonture, you said?
For orthodonture, they provide retainers, whereas some of the other insurers did not. So they provided better services for the amount of money that we could spend.
Okay, because as an end user, and having spoken to other end users, there's been some concern about the reimbursements and the deductibles and, declinations that others are receiving regarding, what we would consider to be routine dental work. So I'm really interested to maybe if there's some level of a side-by-side or something that you can provide that illustrates really where the benefit is for dealing with HealthPlex. I noticed that they're maintaining their price with us, and I've kind of lost my paperwork that I had my notes on, but I noticed that they maintain the same price as the last contract.
That's collectively bargained. That's a bargaining issue. That's the maximum amount that we're able to spend per employee. And that's been the same, from what I understand, since 2011. So that's why, it's difficult to find a provider that's going to give you better benefits than we've had.
So many of us have had dental service from other municipal entities in this area, and we're finding a stark difference from when I speak to employees of the county who may have been employed at other, towns or in the region. We're finding that the benefits that we receive from this particular provider is really inferior to what others are receiving. And so have we looked at what we're receiving from HealthPlex as a side-by-side for any other municipal government in this area to determine whether we're really getting a good bang for our buck? I mean, do we know what Suffolk County employees are receiving and who they might be receiving benefits from? Have we done any kind of
We haven't
research?
done a not that I'm aware of, but I think the comparison is what do you get for $46.75 per month, and maybe possibly I'm not saying it is, but possibly some of the plans that you're talking about, some of the other municipalities, maybe they spend more money for the employees. I don't know that. That could be an interesting study.
I think we should undertake that study because maybe they don't spend that much, or maybe they do. But the bottom line is that, we wouldn't know until we do the study. And we could, in fairness, we could be paying more than we should be when we do a comparison to what others might be getting. I know you're representing shared services, and I know that there has been a push for us to share services, do just that with other municipal governments, and maybe there's, based on the economy of scales, that we can go out and do better. So I think year after year going back to HealthPlex, where when I speak to people who have had experiences with other municipalities are sharing the same sentiment that this is the service and what we're getting is inferior. So I not only have a problem with some of the concerns as it relates to the state, I have a concern that we might not be doing justice for our employees. So I'd like us to look at a side-by-side in the immediate for the responses that came in, and I think it would benefit this body if we receive that information.
I understand what you're saying, and I want to just reinforce that we did have all 6 union represented on the committee, as well as 4 county departments. And yeah, there was some frustration. There's like, I'm not sure HealthPlex is, has been perfect, but they were the best of what was offered to us. And there was also concern about having disruption of provider networks, that if we change providers, suddenly people who've been going to a certain dentist might not be able to go there. But that aside, they did offer the most financially best benefits.
How many in-network providers do we have? With Netflix?
I would have to look that up.
Okay. And how many do they go out and look to onboard per year, and how often are they able to retain their provider? Like, these are questions because I've had the same dentist since 1992, okay? And he has told me single-handedly, this is the worst plan that I've ever walked through the door with. And I've worked in private sector, I've worked in non-for-profit, and now I'm in public sector with the same dentist, and he said this is the worst coverage I've ever walked in the door with. And I really just kind of I know he's out of network, so I just kind of went along with it, and I didn't really, lament, a lot about it. But when I started hearing from other people that they're having similar experiences, it begs the question. And again, I appreciate that all the unions participated and that they were in some way able to kind of focus on one and come back to HealthPlex or be able to get on one accord. But at the end of the day, I think that we owe them the opportunity to make the best possible decision if we had done some research and determined what other municipalities are doing. I think we need the side by side. I know I do. So if my other colleagues don't, or I need it, I'd like to see who else came in, what else they offered, and I'd like to know what other municipalities in the area are utilizing and how they're providing services to their employees.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Let's Division Whitten.
I saw that there was an option to renew for a year. What does that entail? Should we want to do like a more detailed comparison?
I'm sorry, to renew for a year? I'm actually not sure about that. I mean, I think this contract was for 5 years with the option to renew after 5 years.
So at this point in the term, there's, and does it say? Okay. Yeah, how can I identify that? It does say in the existing contract that we do have the option for 2 1-year extensions.
Okay.
If you could just take a look at that, because maybe that's what's necessary, just to see if we can get a more competitive. I mean, maybe it is the best we can get for that amount, but it sounds like we've had a lot of issues where people are really not getting reimbursed at all for certain things, and, you know, it's worth looking at.
All right, we'll be tabling this because of the information that's needed from the Department of Financial Services, but since there were representatives of all the major unions who were involved with this process, I'm hesitant to try to second guess the decisions that they've made for their own employees. But we can discuss this when we call it again next week. But again, we need that information from the Department of Financial Services.
Okay, thank you.
Motion by Legislator Bino to table, seconded by Legislator Reggie Whitten. All in favor of tabling signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the matter's tabled. Thank you again. Those are all the contracts that we have. Is there any public comment on these contracts? Hearing none, I'm now going to call the contracts for a vote. I'll just run through the numbers real quickly so that we're clear. A25, A46, A54, E157, E161, A60, A62, A63, A67, A68, A69, A70, A61, A65, B27, B30, E152, E153, E154, E155, E158, E167, E159, E160, E163, and E164. So any further debate or discussion among the legislators? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Carries unanimously. So the Rules Committee will go into recess, and Public Safety is next.
All right. Good afternoon. At this time, I will call the Public Safety Committee to order, and I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee roll call. Legislator Debbie Muley.
Here.
Legislator Sheila Bino. Ranking Member Delia DeRiggi Witten. Rose Walker substituting for John Ferretti. Thank you. Legislator Vincent Muscarella.
Here.
Vice Chairman Steve Rhodes. Thank you. And Chairwoman Denise Ford.
Here.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Okay, there are 3 items on the agenda today, which are clerk item numbers 383-21, 384-21, and 388-21. Clerk item number 383-21 is an ordinance supplemental to an appropriation ordinance in connection with the district attorney. May I have a motion? Moved by Legislator Walker, seconded by Legislator Bino. The item is before us. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Bob McManus, District Attorney's Office. This item appropriates $180,000 in funds received by the U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance. Funding will be used for the second year of a community-based initiative which utilizes technology and intelligence to identify areas or zones where resources are needed to reduce crime.
Okay, any questions from the legislators? Any public comment? I see none. Thank you. All those in favor of passing this item, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? This item passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Very much. Okay. Clerk item number 384-21 is an ordinance supplemental to an appropriation ordinance in connection with the police department. May I have a motion? Moved by Legislator Walker, seconded by Legislator Rhodes. The item is before us. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. William Field, Inspector with the Police Department. Item 384-21 is a supplemental appropriation of $720,000 in funds received as part of the Assistance to Firefighters grant. The funds will be used to purchase 3 new ambulances to replace 3 ambulances that are no longer operable. The match the county is required is 15% and will be funded by capital funds.
All right, thank you. I'm happy to see that we're getting 3 new ambulances, and I guess also included in this would then also be a new. Are we going to replace the police booth, or is it just a demolish? Legislator Rhodes, right? Is that in your area?
It's actually in Legislator Kennedy's area.
Oh, sorry.
But it's a, my understanding is it's a police booth that was inundated and damaged as a result of Superstorm Sandy, which is, I believe, being replaced. Is that correct, Inspector?
I believe it's a destruction and reconstruction.
Okay.
It's Merrick Road and Seaford Avenue.
Yes.
I see that. Okay. I do want to say I'm very happy that we're finally getting the license plate readers in the 5 towns. That's something that I know both Legislator Capel and I have been advocating for. So thank you very much. Any other comments from the legislators? Any public comment? Okay, I see none. All those in favor of passing this item before, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? The item passes unanimously. All right, clerk item number 388-21 is an ordinance supplemental to an appropriation ordinance in connection with the medical examiner. But moved by Legislator Walker, seconded by Legislator Rhodes. The item is before us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Andy Persick, Office of Management and Budget. This item is a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $5,000 for fire prevention and control in the arson lab at the medical examiner's office.
Thank you. Any comments? No? Any public comment? I see none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of passing this item, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? This item passes unanimously. We normally do not take public comment during committees, but I will suspend the rules and allow Mr. Richard Kosowski, if he is here, to come up and speak. You'll be granted 3 or 5 minutes. I don't know. Great.
How you doing, members of the legislature? I'd just like to
address some issues in reference to the Nassau County Police. Now, in the past, they've done some oversight or attempted to do some oversight. I read I guess the oversight, all the stuff that they created, whatever they took.
The police reform plan?
What is that?
Was it the police reform plan?
That's correct. They took use of force policies, vehicle pursuit policies, and I just read it was about 320 pages. And what they did is they just kind of photocopied everything and said, okay, we got major reform. I don't see major reform. Me personally, I was in the politics, as some of you may be aware, years ago, and what happened was, I guess I kicked the wrong hornet's nest. So what happens is, when you're in the politics, sometimes the police get involved in matters maybe really they shouldn't concern themselves. So what happened was, there was a student at Hofstra University, and he was digging into corruption in Hofstra University, so with the misappropriations of funds. So anyway, what happened was the police got involved, and then I decided to protect him by going to the 3rd precinct with him. And after that, they started giving him summonses, and one after another. And then it snowballed. They started giving me summonses. I went to Internal Affairs. Internal Affairs said they're refusing to take complaints. Captain Facenda refused to take complaints. This snowballed for many years. This is about 20 years in the process. There is documentation inside the Internal Affairs indicating that I have multiple complaints, and I have 2 witnesses to these events, multiple events. Now, what I'm asking the members of the board to do is at least exercise a certain level of oversight to combat this police corruption. Now, I'm not anti-police. As I stated before, Frank Serpico is my role model. He is a NYPD officer that was shot because his own didn't protect him. Now, my objective is this, is to, I'm not against police. I want police to have as much authority as they need to carry out lawful law enforcement activity. But anything beyond that, I do not want them to have the authority because it's not prescribed by the Constitution. So what it is, as I went to Internal Affairs to make complaints, the Nassau County Police had started to snowball from the 4th precinct, the 3rd precinct to multiple precincts. And what happened is it started to get out of hand. They pulled me over, they issued me summonses and multiple things, bogus summonses without lawful justification. When I contacted the Internal Affairs on different occasions, all of a sudden the police would disappear. Couldn't find them anywhere. But meanwhile, just before that, they were driving around me as if I was on a terrorist watch list, and they were watching me. So what happened was, later on, the village police started, the police harassment started escalating in the village police. The Hempstead PD pulled me over. They issued me a summons. They pulled me over and they charged me a reckless driving for filming them. And what they did is it snowballed, and it went to the prosecutor's office, and then it escalated into prosecutorial misconduct. What I'm just asking this board is to exercise an adequate oversight to ensure, if what I'm stating is true, that it be brought to the light and that justice may prevail for everybody. And also the other issues I see is, when I came last September, the minority community is treated differently than the white community. That's what I see. And I'm a conservative. What I mean by is that if they perceive the minority community, even if it's not true, to commit more crimes than others, then they're going to concentrate all their police resources towards that community. So I'm just asking if you could intercede and take corrective measures. If what I'm saying is true, can you take corrective measures and rectify the situation? Because if not, the next thing is I'm at the Public Corruption Division, but there's more corruption there than anything. Next step, I have to go to the Attorney General's office.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate your response.
Are you welcome? As there is no other business before us, to have a motion to adjourn. So moved by Legislator Bino, seconded by Legislator Walker. Thank you very much. Health Committee is next.
like to call the Health and Social Services Committee to order and ask the clerk to please take the roll.
Can I just mention we have two substitutions?
Sure.
Legislator Birnbaum is gonna substitute for, Legislator Drucker, and Legislator Bino is gonna substitute for Legislator Lapson.
Okay, did you get that, Mr. Pulitzer? Oh, okay.
Thank you. Health and Social Service Committee roll call. Legislator Ellen Birnbaum substituting for Legislator Arnold Drucker.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Bino substituting for Legislator Lafazan. Thank you. Ranking Member Delia DeRigi Witten. Legislator C. William Gaylord III.
Present.
Legislator Laura Schaefer.
Here.
Vice Chairman James Kennedy. Here. Chairwoman Rosemarie Walker.
Here.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Okay, there are two items on the agenda today. The first is clerk item 382-21, which is an ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the medical examiner's office. Motion, please, by Legislator Schaefer, seconded by Legislator Bino.
Good afternoon, Legislator Andy Persick, Office of Management and Budget. This item is a supplemental appropriation in amount of $33,801 for enhanced postmortem toxicology testing with relation to opioid deaths. It's additional grant funding that the medical examiner's office has received this year from the state.
Are there any other questions or comments? And I don't know, since you're not actually from the medical examiner's office, but I would just be wondering if they found this year, especially due to COVID, that there were an increase in opioid deaths. I just would be, interested in finding that out.
I am substituting Legislator Walker, just so you know, but I mean, I'm sure they can get you that information.
Okay, yes, and I didn't expect you to have that answer.
I do know that during the pandemic with those calls, there was not a lot of talk about opioids. It was more about COVID-related stuff, but I'm sure there's more.
Right, because I know we did have a lot more opioid deaths, and I'm sure then they ended up going to the medical examiner's office. So.
Well, I'll see if I can get that information for
okay.
you.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem, thank you.
And any other questions or comments from the legislators? Any public comment? Then all in favor of clerk item 382-21, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? No, that moves on to finance. And the second is clerk item 387-21, which is an ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance connection with the health department. And we have Ms. Mary Ellen Lorraine.
Good afternoon, Mary Ellen Lorraine.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. We have a motion, please, by Legislator Kennedy, seconded by Legislator Birnbaum.
Good afternoon, Mary Ellen Lorraine, Department of Health. Item 387-21 is a supplemental appropriation. It's for $1,718,260. This is for our COVID-19 vaccination response, and it's funded by the New York State Department of Health as federal transfer of funds.
Any questions, Legislator DeRigi Witten?
I just want to say, first of all, thank you, Marilyn. You're always my go-to person with the Board of Health, and I really appreciate your assistance. Do you have any idea how they're going to, I see this is going to be focused on minority groups to increase the accessibility for people with disabilities as well? Do you
yes,
know how
20. I believe that's 20% of the funding will be targeted outreach to minority communities, which we are currently doing as well.
Okay.
Just to boost vaccination rates.
Yeah, I would just wonder how they're going to. It would just be good to be kept informed as to how they're doing it. If there's any way that our offices could help. And I know we discussed this, but do you know if this is also going to include increasing the availability for the vaccines for children?
I don't know that offhand. We are not a Pfizer provider, so I'm not sure. But of course, there could always be changes. There's flexibility.
That's a good point. So because we're not a Pfizer, it's only approved for 30% of the Pfizer dose, correct, for children right now?
Right, and the vaccine is readily available.
I know.
in pediatric offices and pharmacies.
I'm hearing all different things. I don't know, I have a community that has just really focused on this, and they're calling all the different pharmacies, and the pharmacies are saying they're not available yet. Stop and Shop doesn't have them. in
Starting
Fort
today, New
Washington.
York State is doing the 5 to 11-year-olds in Sunil Westbury,
Right, is it-
Stony Brook, and I think, don't quote me, I think Aqueduct, but.
Okay.
And
All
of
right,
course,
so-
if there's demand, it can always be expanded.
And it's really a good point that unless they change the conditions for Moderna, the county really can't get involved at this point, right? Do you know?
I mean, I don't know in the future if we will, but right now we are not providing.
So, do you know why we can't administer Pfizer? Is it some?
It's more related to the storage and the handling of it. It's
Okay.
much easier for us to do the Moderna when we're at certain sites.
Okay, all right, I
And
appreciate
J&J.
that.
Because the Pfizer, oh, I'm sorry, because the Pfizer is the one that has to be kept at that very low
I
temperature.
believe there were changes to the way it has to be kept, but it's easier when we're at locations to use Moderna.
And I'm sure you'll keep us updated if there's any changes in that.
Oh, certainly, certainly.
Thank you. Legislator Brimbaum?
Has the county already received the funding from the state?
Yes.
And is this did we apply for this amount? Or is it?
We've been continuously receiving money from the state for COVID response. This is not, it wasn't like we had to apply for it.
And is it adequate?
It's based on, I believe the way it's dispersed is based on population.
So it seems to be an adequate amount for
Yes,
our COVID response?
We've been continuously getting funds from, it's federal pass-through money.
Okay, thank you.
Have we found, because I know earlier we tried to focus on certain communities where we felt that there was, still a large number that have not been vaccinated, whatever, and I guess sometimes our response wasn't as what we had hoped it would be, that more people would come out and get
We do review the data to see where there are pockets and need, and we continuously we really partnered with leaders in the community who have trust in the community.
Right.
For example, on MLK Day, we did a pod that was successful at, I think it was the Union Baptist Church in Hempstead, and we partnered with the pastor who had trust and got vaccinated as well that day. So we're trying to, continue to increase our partnerships, which has been very successful. We do have the highest vaccination rate in the state, and probably the country. I think we're number 2.
Because I know, in a lot of what you read, and not that I'm saying whatever we read is always true, but, I know there are many people, I guess, that are, they're afraid to go because possibly they're undocumented or whatever, and I know that's not a question that's ever asked, so I guess working with the local community leaders is the best way, because if they trust somebody, they're gonna, they might not believe me that I say that, but they would believe somebody who they have, who they know and have faith in, and
Right, we don't ask that.
right, exactly.
And we try to promote that message as in
As
the
much as we
community.
possibly can.
And with the media, and of course, but in the community, and the community leadership is always helpful to us.
Okay, any other questions for Mary Ellen? Any public comment? And I too would like to thank you for, especially, you're always here for us, always here to answer all our questions, but, during COVID, it's been especially difficult, so,
Thank you.
and not always an easy time for any of you, so, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
So if there's that's the last business we have on the calendar today, then I'll ask for a motion. Oh, wait, all in favor of item 387-21, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, any abstains, and that will move on to finance also. No other business before this committee. May I have a motion to adjourn, sorry. Legislator Schaefer and seconded by Legislator DeRigi Witten. All in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye. This committee is adjourned. And next is finance.
right, the Finance Committee, please come to everyone in their seats. I guess yeah, Mr. Pulitzer, would you be so kind as to call the roll?
Thank you, Chairman.
Do you have the substitutions? Okay, good. Oh, so which you have Ms. Muley for Mr. Drucker? And
that is correct, sir.
And Ms. DeRigi Witten for Mr. Lafazan.
DeRigi Witten for Mr. Lafazan. Okay.
Okay.
Hold on. Finance Committee, Legislator DeRigi Witten. Legislator Debbie Muley.
Here.
Thank you. Ranking Member Ellen Birnbaum.
Here.
Legislator Rosemary Walker. Here. Legislator Thomas McKevitt.
Here.
Vice Chairman Vincent Muscarella.
Here.
Thank you. And Chairman Howard Copel. We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start out with a motion. Since we have an addendum, we'll start with a motion to suspend the rule. That motion is made by Mr. McKevitt and seconded by Ms. Walker. All in favor of suspending the rules, please say aye. Okay, thank you. The rules are suspended. Now we'll go into, let's see. We have a number of consent items, and I'll call those first. Those items have already gone through some other committees. Okay, those items are number 382, 383, 384, 387, and 388. And motion on that is by Ms. DeRigi Witten and is seconded by Ms. Walker. All those in favor of those items, please say aye. Any opposed? Those items pass unanimously. Thank you. Number 376 is a resolution providing issuance of warrants, directing the treasurer to pay various villages and cities from money from mortgage tax. That motion is made by Ms. Muley, seconded by Mr. Muscarella. Well, we know what this is, right? Do anyone have any questions? Do you need anybody from the administration for this? This is a routine. Okay. Hearing none. All in favor of number 376, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, that item is unanimous. Numbers 379 and 380 are both transfers of appropriation, and motion for that is made by Ms. Walker. Thank you. And Ms. Birnbaum seconds that.
Good afternoon, Mary Ellen Lorraine, Department of Health. Item 379-21 is a board transfer. It's in the amount of $15,777. It's for one of our New York State grant-funded programs, so it has no impact on the budget. It's to maximize grant reimbursement.
Any questions? Okay.
380-21 is a board transfer in the amount of $1 million. It's for one of our COVID-related grants. It has no impact on the budget. It's to maximize grant reimbursement.
Any questions on that item? All those in favor, please so indicate by saying aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll come back to 378. Number 390 is supplemental to the annual appropriations for transfer appropriations. That motion is made by Mr. McKevitt and it's seconded by Ms. Muley.
Good afternoon. Andy Persick, Office of Management and Budget. Item 390 is a quarterly board transfer / supplemental appropriation to readjust the operating budget for 2021. It's a variety of things that we go through as far as for the Department of Social Services. I'll go through them quickly. In the Health Department, the corrections overtime, PD, there's some monies needed for higher pricing for gasoline and some related workers' comp expenses that are going to exceed the budget. So
the only item that, well, the item that specifically would bother me enough to ask a question on it at this point is the overtime, and especially as it relates to, I believe it was the corrections.
That's correct.
We don't have enough people in the academy. We seem to have very insufficient people coming in, isn't?
Well, one thing I know is that we've done 2 classes this year. I know next year we're planning on an additional 2 classes. Remember, to bring up the bail reform and the whole criminal justice thing, it was supposed to be the diversion. What's happening though too is even though the
I'm sorry, Andy, the criminal justice,
the bail reform
and bail reform would have meant fewer are needed.
Well, it was supposedly that we're going to be diverted to probation, but what's happening is because of COVID and some of the prisoners are staying a little bit longer in the facility. As a result of these state-ready things, it's increasing the amount of overtime.
Why would COVID cause them to stay
because
longer?
The state wouldn't take state-ready inmates at their facilities. Some inmates stay in the county facility and they get transferred upstate.
So that's nothing to do with that has nothing to do with the bail reform.
No, but part of the problem too is that we do know that the staffing may be a problem for the future, but we're always evaluating it. There are some other issues that we're working with the sheriff's department on, with some of the medical when they go up to the hospital as far as staffing needs over there, and probably correcting some of the where they put the inmates in the patient floor and reopening that. We're working with the hospital on that, so it's an ongoing battle over there. I can tell you that much, but we monitor very closely. And this is just money to transfer from one line to another.
No, I get it, but again, I'm just trying to, for the future, trying to see if we can avoid some of this very expensive overtime. So, if there were 2 classes this year and 2 classes next year, would you think? Is it the thought of the administration at this point that more than 2 would not be required, since it's the same and we still got this problem?
Might be size, meaning that the classes might have to grow in size. You know what I mean? We do more of a routine type of thing like we do with the police department, do it more like on a cyclical basis, like in May and December. You know what I mean? Try to keep so that we keep the attrition down and keep the numbers up.
Because the Department of Corrections people, it's not only a question of being expensive for the county, but these people are unhappy. And understandably so, with the amount of extra work that they're required to do. And it's probably unsafe.
Well, I think that, they manage it very well over there. I give I tip my hat to them how they're doing it. I think there's some anomalies with the numbers we don't know where the number of inmates is going to fall when we have the state readies still sitting in our facility and not being shipped out. That'll drop the population, which will drop the overtime. One thing that we're not sure of is that the reimbursement, some of these state-ready inmates might be reimbursable from the state because they haven't taken them up to the facilities that they were supposed to be directed
Would they reimburse at overtime rates?
Yes, they will be. Well, because it's almost like we're going to hand them a bill, for lack of a better thing, because it's part of the state, criminal justice, whatever office that is.
So it might be, we don't know though?
I'm sorry?
We don't know whether or not that will be reimbursable?
We are under the impression it will be, so when we do the year-end close, what we will do, we will book a receivable in the revenue side from the state to offset some of the costs for this overtime.
Okay, thank you.
We're not at that point yet, you know what I mean? This things will clear up and clarify as we get close to the year end. So.
All right, thanks. Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Walker.
Are we allowed to bill them periodically, or do you have to wait till the end of the year? Because if they've been here all this time, and we could have been sending them bills and having them pay for some of that.
I am aware that the Department of Corrections is tracking this overtime. They work more hand in hand with the State Department of Corrections about this reimbursement. It's kind of a fluid situation, but it's my understanding that some of this money will be coming back to us. And I think it's a question of when. I mean, at the beginning of the year was different. Remember, we didn't have the money that we had now. But even then, the state was not, they were cutting reimbursements. Now we're at a different point that I think the state has the money to probably reimburse us, and we will go back to them and ask for that money.
I mean, is there a chance they're saying, too bad for you? I guess there's always that chance. Some of the dealings with the state, you never know what you're going to get sometimes. So, I'm hopeful with this one, though. I think it's a slam dunk because it'll probably be covered under some of the ARP funding that the state got that they will have to divvy down to the counties. It's not just here in Nassau County. I think it's a problem statewide. And of course, we don't have that. I'm not expecting you to have this answer, but we don't necessarily have the option of saying, well, we're not taking these these people?
It's not a question of taking, they're here now, they need to be transported out because their sentence is a greater term than what they can stay at this facility, but because of the COVID, you know, there's a whole bunch of testing requirements that the facility had to be COVID-free, and that's almost impossible with intake and outtake. It's you know, it's a challenge for them over there keeping up with it.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of item number 390, please so indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. We have one remaining item, and that would be number 378, which is a resolution authorizing the acting county attorney to compromise an action entitled Becerro versus the County of Nassau. Motion on that is made by Ms. Birnbaum, seconded by Mr. McKevitt. Now, Mr. McKevitt makes a motion to go into executive session, and that's again seconded by Ms. Birnbaum. All those in favor of executive session, please so indicate by saying aye. All right, any opposed? We're in executive session, to which members of the Rules Committee are invited as well. We're back in session. Who are we missing here? Vinny's on the thing, okay. Okay, right. All right, so we've heard what we needed to hear in executive session. And that being the case, all those in favor of number 378, please so indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is passed unanimously. Ms. Walker moves to adjourn, and Mr. McKevitt seconds it. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned, and Rules Committee is next again.
Alrighty then. We call the Rules Committee out of recess. We have a consent calendar, which consists of items that went through other committees moments ago. And it's been agreed that no further debate or discussion is required on these items in the Rules Committee now. So, item 376, 378, 379, 380, 382, 383, 384, 387, 388, and 390, which is on the addendum. Those are the items moved by Legislator Schaefer, seconded by Deputy Presiding Officer Coppell. Any debate or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? They carry unanimously. Now there's one item called separately, did not go through other committees. 391 of 2021, an ordinance making certain determinations pursuant to SECRA and authorizing the county executive on behalf of the county to execute a municipal agreement, intermunicipal agreement with the Village of Flower Hill, authorizing the transfer of a section of Middle Neck Road in the Village of Flower Hill. Moved by Legislator Reggie Whitten, seconded by Legislator Rhodes. Any debate or discussion on this item? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion to adjourn. Moved by Legislator Rhodes, seconded by Legislator Sheik. All in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Those opposed? We are adjourned. Yep.